Well, hello and welcome to About the Valley, and we're here to introduce a new type of show that we're going to be doing here on NCTV, and that is we're going to try to showcase talent of any kind, and I mean any kind. You don't have to be a singer, you don't have to be with a band. It can be any kind of type. If you're a juggler, we'll bring you in, and have you do your act, magician, whatever. But we wanted to introduce to you tonight and make our initial show with a talent from the Valley, and I don't think a lot of people know that. That's Dan Chauvin. Hey, Dan.
Good to see you.
Who is also the animal control officer in the town of Northbridge. But I'm going to have him do his number right now, and we'll get into some of that after.
Cool. Harry asked me to do this one, so I'm going to play this one. This is for you, Harry.
All right. This is a favorite of mine, an old Dylan song.
Ain't no use to sit and wonder why, baby, 'cause it don't matter anyhow. It ain't no use to sit and wonder why, baby, if you don't know by now. Well, the rooster is crowing at the break of dawn. You just look out my window, darling, and I'll be gone. You're the reason I'm traveling on. Don't think twice, it's alright. Walking down that long, lonesome road, baby, where I'm bound I can't tell. Goodbye is too good a word, baby, so I'll just say fare thee well. Well, I'm not saying you treated me, oh, that unkind. Might have done better, darling, but I don't mind. But you kinda wasted my precious time. Don't think twice, it's alright. It ain't no use calling out my name, girl, like you never done before. It ain't no use calling out my name, girl, 'cause I can't hear you anymore. Still I wish there was something you'd do or say to help me change my mind and just make me stay. But we never did too much talking anyway. Don't think twice, it's alright. Still I wish there was something you do or say to help me change my mind and just make me stay. But we never did too much talking anyway. Don't think twice, it's alright. It ain't no use leaving on your lights, baby. That's a light I never known. It ain't no use leaving on your lights, baby. I'm on the dark side of the road, and still I'm thinking and wondering all the way down that road. I once loved a woman, a child I'm told, and I gave her my heart. She wanted my soul. Don't think twice, it's alright. Well, I gave her my heart,
All right, Dan, that's great. Brings me back. I don't know if you ever heard of the Why Not Coffee House. It was located on Main Street in Worcester, across from the YMCA. And actually, YMCA is the one who sponsored it. And I hung out there in the 60s, late 60s. And it's, of course, with all folk music. In fact, one of the guys I hung out there with, who would come in every now and then, was a guy named James Taylor, who was just starting out.
Never heard of him.
And another person that would come down there, and it was really intimate setting, was Joni Mitchell.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really great because you were right there with the stage was right there, and after the musicians would come out and sit with you, and you drink no hard liquor, just coffee and juice. But it was great, and that it I love that. I love folk music. I really do. I mean, it's so relaxing.
Well, there's been a big resurgence over the past few years in the coffee house folk scene. It really has come back, and the intimate setting that you talk about. You don't have much of a choice in that matter. Most of these coffee houses are literally holes in the wall, and you got a couple tables and some coffee urns and a couple of pallets sometimes with some plywood on them, and that's the stage. And been doing that since like the 70s. I started in Worcester myself at places like Tammany Hall and JC's and the Tipperary Pub, which is now, of course, gone. And, same kind of thing, just tight setting.
And now you're at places like the Grafton Inn.
Yeah, Grafton Inn, the Inn at Woodstock Hill. I played at Bryan's on a fairly regular basis. My wife was the manager there, so it was kind of weird, So, lots of places going on. From like 2005 to 2010, I was very active in the Borders bookstore chain.
Oh, and, yes.
Was touring their coffee houses, their in-house coffee houses from Maine to Pennsylvania. So that was like 5 years.
That Borders was a unique thing because they had the cafe within the store, but they didn't last. Something happened with them.
Yeah, it was, my understanding was, the usual thing, the corporate crash and a couple of bad business decisions. And as it is in business today, there's no margin for error. You make one mistake and the whole thing crashes and burns.
Yeah,
so.
and it's too bad because I used to like to go to one in Shrewsbury.
Yeah.
Sit down, have a cup of coffee, go look at a book.
Yeah. Well, what I liked about it was I dealt with a gentleman. His name was Craig Kennedy, and he was the district marketing manager. And, throughout the early times when I was playing, you were always chasing one gig at a time. This guy, because he had 100 stores under his belt, he would give me 30 gigs at a time. It was great, You went from nothing booked to a completely full calendar, and it was like, I don't have to chase anything, don't have to knock on any doors. So it was a great experience. It lasted 5 years. No regrets at all.
Yeah, it's something that you got to love doing because you're not going to get rich at it.
No, never. There's only two places, the top and everybody else. And,
exactly.
Exactly. That's it. And, you might feel like you're climbing the ladder, but not really.
It's not easy to do.
Right.
And today it's a lot tougher, I think. For one thing, you don't have the record companies like you had because people aren't buying records.
No, there's no need for it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what you do now, I know Ayla Brown, Scott Brown's daughter, she put out an album, but she put it out on the internet. Mm-hmm. And that seems to be what's going on now.
Why not? It used to be you had to, sell 10 records and have those 10 people play it for 10 people and have, and now you put it on the internet and, 5,000 people see it in 5 minutes. So, it's a powerful tool.
You're on the net.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Do you have your own website?
Yes, I do. www.danielchauvin.com. Not Dan Chauvin, danielchauvin.com. Okay. Dan Chauvin was already taken, and I don't know who took it, but somebody took it.
That does happen with the web.
Yep, danielchauvin.com.
I know. I did see you on the web. I don't know if I went to your was on YouTube.
Yeah, there's quite a few things on YouTube, and all those videos on YouTube, I didn't post any of them. I don't even know how to post a video. I don't know how
No
to do
kidding.
that. So those are either people who have worked with me, crew guys, or they're just people in the audience who have taken videos and posted them up there. And, you know, it's very flattering. I'm flattered when I see that stuff.
Yeah,
It's
in
like,
fact,
wow, who's this, you know?
I saw you performing Small Town on
Mhm.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Now, you got, what, how many albums you got?
3.
3 albums.
Yes. Yeah, the
And
first
you-
one
you-
came
you-
out in '05.
And you sell them when you perform.
Yes.
But if someone wants to get a hold of you,
Oh, just
Yeah.
call animal control.
Yeah,
you know,
right,
it's
right.
like that. That'll work.
and I'll tell you, I've got one of the albums. It's really good.
Yeah.
I,
Thank you.
you did it. It's professionally done.
Yes, it is
It's not-
professionally done.
It's not something where he sat in his basement and in front of a tape recorder.
No, no, no,
You know,
no.
these are professionally done. You got some good backup singers. In fact, in some cases, you got some children in there.
Yeah.
Which we're probably grown now if it was '05.
Well, no, that's the Small Town Life record that you're talking about,
Yeah.
and that is 2010.
Yeah.
And that one was spawned from, I was just playing, because I am the animal control officer, I was doing a benefit show for a cat rescue organization. And it was just a bunch of cat people there. And I played my set, but before the set, there was a gentleman up there, and he was playing a guitar that he had built himself.
No kidding.
And I was listening to this guitar that he had built, and it just sounded beautiful. So he was done, and it was my time to go on, and I did that thing that guitar players are not supposed to do, because guitars are like girlfriends. You just don't touch
Right,
the other guy's.
right.
But he was walking off, and I was walking on, and I was like, that was such a beautiful guitar. I was like, can I play the set with that guitar? And he was just like, sure, give me yours. So that was Steve Beckwith, and I gave him mine. He gave me his. I played the set, and when I saw him afterwards, he had said, there's a friend of mine I want you to meet, and that was Don Hooper. And Don Hooper had worked with artists like Seals and Crofts and such back in the 70s.
Yeah.
He's long retired, but he does have a very nice studio in his home.
He's a producer.
He's a producer, and it's an invitation-only type thing.
Ah.
And he invited me to come in and to
No
lay
kidding.
some tracks down. So that's how Small Town Life was born.
I'll tell you, it's a
know?
great album.
And thank you.
Really.
Thank
and,
you.
and like I said, I played it on my show Days of Vinyl.
Yeah, I was channel surfing. You could have knocked me over with a feather. I was like, hey, check that out, you know?
And I got a lot of comments on it. It's they can't believe this is the guy that's the animal control officer. I say, yes, it is.
Yeah, well, no one makes a living at music, so we all got to do something.
No,
But what is nice about animal control is it does have enough flexibility in it where, you know, things like this
Right.
you can go off and do, and sometimes it comes around to bite you in the rear end, but for most times it's fine.
We should get into that a little bit on the animal control. How long you been doing that now?
15 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of people don't realize it's not easy for towns to find someone to take that job on.
Yeah. It's not a job. It's a lifestyle.
Right.
You know, you do it 24 hours a day,
Yeah.
7 days a week. You get a couple hours off here and there to do such thing as this, but I'm absolutely certain the phone's ringing and someone's looking for me somewhere. But it's not like a regular job. You're not going to punch a clock. It's 24 hours a day. They can call you at noontime. They can call you at midnight. You don't know. And with 3 towns that I'm presently doing, there's always something happening, you know. So
Yeah, you're talking quite an area.
100 square miles. Yeah.
And it's not a real great paying job either.
That's a subject for another show.
Right, but you know, my feeling is I think that, you know, the town's never allocated a lot to it.
Right. And what I think was in the past, you know, as early as like the 80s, there wasn't the big influx in population
Right.
like we've had over the last 20 years. So the occasional dog running down the street was not a big issue. But now, with the expansion of all these small town life isn't what it used to be.
No, it isn't.
And they develop a lot of areas. The bulldozers come in. They'll clear several hundred acres in a single day, which displaces a lot of the wildlife
Yes.
and things like that. And, all of a sudden there's, various animals running through town because, of those reasons. And you can't just leave them to their own devices.
Yeah.
You've got to intervene on some level. So.
And it is an animal control job, not a dog officer.
Right, that's done. Yeah,
Those days are long
those
gone.
days are done. Yes.
Right.
And we like to be called either animal control officers or animal services officers, either
Right.
one, or ACOs. That's fine. But dog officers, we don't like that a whole lot.
Well,
Yeah.
the thing is that's only a small percentage of what you do.
Yeah, dogs is probably maybe 25%. The other 75% can be anything from a bat in your home in the middle of the night
Yep.
to, a deer crashed through my sliding glass door and
Yeah.
is standing in my living room. Somebody come get him out. So you
Actually,
don't know
I
what's going to
actually had
happen.
a turkey fly through my picture window a few years back.
Common.
Yeah.
Yeah, common.
See? And people don't realize, because we are taking away their habitat.
Yes.
And, they got to go somewhere.
Well, what people used to believe in the past, and like what we knew growing up, or what we thought was true, was as you develop an area and it gets more crowded, the animals move away, and we don't have to deal with them. And
Right.
that's not true, because there's really nowhere for them to go
Right,
now.
yeah, they're running
So
out of
they do
place to-
one of two things. They're not going to commit suicide for you, or they're going to adapt.
Yeah.
So they adapt.
Yeah.
So, which is why, I've literally gotten calls at 2 a.m. that a guy is looking out his window and there's a herd of deer in the street in front of his house, He goes, there's going to be 10 of them and they're standing right in the street. And it's, hope the cars don't come, you know?
Yeah, you grew up in Northbridge like
Absolutely,
I did. and
was born
you
here.
didn't- You
Yeah.
didn't see any deer around. One thing we didn't see that I don't recall were coyotes.
No, there were no coyotes until, I'm going to say, mid-'80s before they started showing up, and even then it was rare. But then, as we all saw, we went from no wild turkeys to wild turkeys in everybody's
Yes.
yard, on every street, on every corner. Huge food
Which is
source.
one of the big food
Yeah.
sources for the coyotes.
And that's why they're here. And the deer, of course.
Yep.
Hunting isn't as popular as it used to be.
Right.
So there's certainly that generation is dying off, and every year there's less and less. So really the only deer control is coyotes and automobiles. That's, that's it. The automobiles
for the
do their
automobiles,
share,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you-
Unfortunately, people get hurt, and there's lots of property damage in those situations.
Yeah,
So.
you really got to be on the alert at all times.
Absolutely.
I don't know how many times I've gone up Hill Street, and that's a favorite deer crossing near Kings North.
Yeah, yeah.
And as a deer goes flying across the road, but deer don't stop and look both ways.
No. No, they do not, and they're not threatened by automobiles. I don't know why. You would think that
Yeah.
they would get the gist of this after a while, but nope. Still, the old cliche of the deer in the headlight look, that still applies.
Yeah.
They will freeze up. So
Yeah, and now you're in trouble because if you
Yep.
hit them, you're
yeah,
doing,
it's bad news.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're doing substantial damage.
Mm-hmm.
There's no, and it can really it'll kill you if they fly through the windshield.
Absolutely. Moose, exceptionally dangerous animals because they're so tall. They have a tendency
And
to
we've
just
had
fall.
moose sightings down here.
I've personally never seen them, but I have gotten calls that other residents have seen them. And, of course, they shot one in Worcester, at one point.
Yeah.
Bears have made a
Yeah.
comeback
Oh,
here.
it seems to be a route that is traveling south down toward Rhode Island and right through Northbridge.
Yeah. Yeah, they're big territorial animals. So,
Yes.
it's not like they say, hey, come on, there's plenty of room. The big male is like, I own this, and you go find where you are, and get out of here.
And
So,
it seems that the animal population exploding, probably because we've cut back on pollution greatly in the last 30, 40 years. And you're seeing more. I mean, look at the blue heron are back.
eagles are back.
Eagles are back,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, owls are commonplace at this
And,
point in
and of
time.
course, the
Yeah.
turkeys, well, we brought them back.
Yeah.
The state actually brought them
Yeah.
back.
And I think, I have no idea I've never actually spoken with anyone from the state, but
what their expectation was, but I think they were more successful than they thought they were going to
Yes.
be, because
Yes.
it's a success story. I mean, that's for sure. Growing up as a kid in the 70s, if you'd come home and told your mother you saw a wild turkey, she would have looked at you like you had three heads.
yeah,
You know, they
because,
just weren't here.
Well,
you know?
they went extinct around the turn of the last century
Yeah.
from people killing them.
Yeah, they were just shot in large numbers as
Yeah.
a food source, and
And they were
Yeah.
easy to hunt.
yeah,
So they were just wiped out. But then the state brought them back. And,
Yeah.
and they, like you say, it was a lot more successful
yeah,
than
than
they
they
thought.
thought. Absolutely.
But now, what's some of the unusual calls you've gotten?
Depends on what what is unusual. A deer in a swimming pool.
No
two,
kidding. You've actually.
Oh
had
yeah,
that?
oh yeah.
How do you get them out?
However you can, it really is the kind of a job where, because something works once, that it's going to work twice.
Right.
It's not like that. Every animal is different. Some animals are very cooperative for whatever reason. Other times they're in a complete panic.
I would think you'd have to call the fire department or the police to help you out.
No,
because
they ropes and some
Manage
assistance from some good citizens. I've called for John Q. Public to give me a hand on more than one occasion, and they're good at stepping up.
That is
Yeah.
that's really something when you think about it.
Yeah.
A good reason to have a fence around your pool.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But then fences don't always stop the deer.
No. And
Now, you had a unique situation not too long ago with a dog that was a problem,
yes.
and the selectmen wanted them banished from town.
No, you can't banish dogs from town anymore. That's law was changed in 2012.
Well, that makes sense because
Ma'am, you're only moving
what
the
do you do, Send
problem.
them to Grafton?
Yeah,
We
so
don't
that
want-
they
don't
can
want 'em either.
ambush them over there. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it was a first in which a dog that was on the schedule for a dangerousness hearing was involved in a house fire and got displaced, taken out of town where jurisdictional power was not there,
Yeah.
and we couldn't bring it back. The best we could do is warn the town that it was in, that it was there, and let them take whatever actions it was they deemed fit.
Which upsets the people who were the victim of that dog.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In
Yes.
15 years, I had never seen this particular scenario play out.
Right, but they're now feeling that they didn't get any justice, and there's nothing you can do about
Right.
it.
Absolutely.
That's
Absolutely.
just what happened, and
Yeah.
who would ever think that there'd be a fire and that
Mm.
they'd move out of town?
Yeah.
And now they couldn't have moved out of town on you if they hadn't had the fire. Just moved out and just said,
Right.
hey, I'm out of here, and now you can't touch me.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have got away with it as easily.
Right. Right. And I think that probably at some point the legislature will have to visit, such a thing, and I don't know what the answer is. I only know what the answer isn't.
Right.
And
But it's a really unique situation.
yeah, it's a very,
That's why
very
it's
unique
never been taken.
situation, and we'll probably never see it again, but stranger things have happened, so.
Yeah, why don't we get another song in and break it up a little bit here?
Cool.
Whatever you want to do.
I think I'll do, this is off my second record called Better Places, and the song is called Kentucky Angel.
Is this one you wrote?
Yes, it is.
All right.
All right.
She was an angel who hailed from Kentucky, and he was a born and raised New England boy. And he wasn't smart, and he wasn't lucky, but he stole her heart like no one before. She traveled north just west of Boston to sell some fast horses her daddy had raised. And he was a workman who tended the stockyard. When she saw him there, she said, good Lord be praised. She was an angel, and he was alone. That's how he'd spend all his time. She swore forever she'd be his home, and their love could last a lifetime. She was so taken, she just had to say so. And who was this charming young New England boy? He was as taken, but could not believe it, 'cause no one he knew ever bothered before. She was an angel, and he was alone. That's how he'd spend all his time. And she swore forever she'd be his home, and their love could last a lifetime. And she brought him back to Kentucky to wed, thinking there's nothing to say. I forbid you to see him, is all that he said, and you'll see it's better that way. And they packed that night, left old Kentucky on a pair of fast horses her daddy had raised. The Kentucky Angel, the New England stockman, was never so happy with the life that they made. She was an angel, he was alone. That's how he'd spend all his time. She swore forever she'd be his home, and their love could last a lifetime. She was an angel, and he was alone. That's how he'd spend all his time. She swore forever she'd be his home, and their love could last a lifetime. Their love could last a lifetime.
Oh, really good. Really, I like that song.
Thank you
You know, and
very much.
I like the storytelling type of songs like that. But how do you come about writing like that? I mean, just does it just come into your head, or just fooling around?
Well, I mean, there's, you know, it's a strange story, but I went to Catholic school as a kid.
Yeah.
And what I noticed about the nuns that were the teachers was they were very in tune to people's individual stuff that they did. And they seemed to notice I had a thing for music. And there was this game that this one particular nun, and then we're talking second and third grade, this
Right.
game she used to play with me. And she would say, you know, Daniel, what do you see over there? And I say, I see a squirrel sitting on a branch. She says, okay, tell me you see a squirrel sitting on the branch, but don't use any of the words you just used. So it would be like, I spy a rodent on a limb. Very good. Now tell me the same thing, but don't use any of the words you just used. So we would go through this vocabulary of adjectives and descriptive words, and she would play this with me during recess and things like that. And, you know, a lot of that game is in the songwriting technique. We're saying the same things everybody else is saying, but
Right.
you got to say it in different words.
And you got to rhyme it.
And you got to rhyme it, and you got to make it work. So through those kind of games as a kid, it just developed a vocabulary for, you know, poetic words. And things rhyme naturally.
But you
yeah.
must be inspired in some way, like you wrote a song about
Yes.
a girl from Kentucky,
Yep.
guy from New England.
Yep. Just a story someone told me in a bar. Yeah,
There you go.
Yeah,
See,
that's
it
it.
comes up
Yeah,
somewhere, yeah.
And it's like that's a
Yeah.
a cool thing. But this particular song was actually 2 o'clock in the morning. Channel surfing and Turner Classic Movies, some 1939 really bad movie,
Yep.
and it was awful. And I was like, it's like a bad country song. I said about that movie, and I said, I'll try to make it a good country song. So
Yeah,
that was the storyline in that. Yeah,
It sounds like an old folk tune.
yeah, yeah.
Really. And like I said, I just love that style.
And that that intro part, that
Yes.
all that was a finger exercise that I used to do before I played, because when I was younger I was very nervous, and you're kind of like very klutzy with your fingers.
Oh.
So I would play that as like a way to extend my fingers and stretch my fingers. And there was just a guy sitting there, he goes, that'd make a great intro to a song.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay.
And of course, the intro is really key to the song. People listening, once
Yes.
they hear a good intro, they're gonna keep listening.
Right.
And then you put your hook in there.
Yep. The hook is important.
Yep.
Yes.
This is really. I'm amazed. I'm always amazed by people who can write songs. I've always tried it.
Well,
I
me
can
too. Yeah.
never- No,
Me
you're doing
too.
pretty good at it. You're doing pretty
I mean,
good
when
at
I
it.
watch guys like James Taylor and Gordon Lightfoot back
Yep.
in the day, and their prolific songwriting. I mean,
Yes.
they didn't write a song; they would sit down and write 5 songs, and
Yep.
they would have these notebooks full of lyrics of unwritten stuff. I had seen this interview with Bruce Springsteen, where he had said, like at any given time, he's got 15 or 20 unfinished songs. And it's like, when you can be that prolific and constantly putting it out there, something's going to work.
Well, what's amazing is Dylan. When he first started out, he's doing these songs that nobody knew what they meant,
Yes. Yeah.
and he didn't either.
Yeah. He didn't. I don't think he.
But it sold. And he said that. He says it sells.
Yeah.
Like Bob Dylan's Dream Number 95 or something like that. And I mean, or Desolation Row.
Yeah.
I mean, I listen to that stuff today, and it still sounds great.
Yes,
but
it's good stuff. Dylan is pretty timeless. I mean, you can talk to songwriters who were in their 20s,
Yep.
and they talk about the days their parents used to play the Dylan records, and he's always going to have his place. I think 100 years from now, people are still going to talk about
Right.
Bob Dylan.
But he also wrote stuff that made sense, like Blowing in the Wind.
Yeah.
The times were changed, and you could understand what he was saying. But then he wrote the other stuff.
Well, it was definitely a timing thing also, as
Yeah.
with all, music.
Right.
I think if Dylan had showed up 10 years later, I don't think he may have been as successful as he was.
No.
But at the time that he came on the scene, it was fertile picking for that kind of stuff. So,
Well, he was the type of guy, too, that wasn't afraid to make innovations. Good example is the Newport Folk Festival. He came out with an electric guitar. And I was, what? They're going to pull him off.
Yeah.
Let me give you a shot at this.
Yeah.
Let me see. And he went from the folk stuff to the more rock style.
Yeah.
And
Well, trying to find his place,
Yeah.
And of course he certainly did that.
Yeah.
And if he walked in here right now, you'd have to resuscitate me off the floor. I'd probably tumble right out of the chair,
Me as well. We can.
Yep.
I would love just to meet him, but just an ordinary guy. I heard that was what I'm trying to remember a story I heard about him was in the tour, the Buddy Holly tour. He actually filled in as a band member during the tour at one of the stops.
Oh, I'm sure.
Out in the Midwest.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know?
When you're on the road and you've got multiple vehicles or multiple things go wrong.
Yeah.
People don't show up, people get sick, and sometimes you got to just wing it. And,
I read that. I forget where I read it, but I read a lot of things about music. One of my favorite books is The Wrecking Crew,
No.
which I don't know if you're familiar with it.
No.
The Wrecking Crew, they were called that by the jazz musicians, and they were the musicians, the studio musicians that did all the music behind the rock and roll of the 50s and the 60s. And in fact, they record all the Beach Boys stuff
Yeah.
that was done in the studio was done by them, not the Beach Boys. The Beach Boys would just come in and do the vocals.
I did not hear that. I
Yeah.
was not aware of that. So.
And they were brought in. So all the stuff you hear, all the productions by Phil Spector, all the artists of the day, a lot of the bands, you think that the Grassroots, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, a lot of these bands, they were the studio musicians doing the record.
Yeah.
And then these
Yeah.
bands would go out and do the touring.
Yeah.
And the idea came from the guy who started the Champs. Their hit was the Tequila.
That's before my time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
the theme song that, what's his name? The comedian. Oh, God, now I'm losing it. Well, anyway, yeah, he had put the record together, and he didn't want to tour. So he put a tour band together, and it worked.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they came up with the concept. What's the way to do it?
Yeah. But I mean, today,
Oh,
it used to be that you would, fill up the station wagon and drive thousands of miles and play it every. Now
Yeah.
today, you just put a video on YouTube and it, reaches
right,
just as many
right.
people. So,
Well, the ones that tour live a lot better than back in those days. Hey, Buddy Holly got on the plane because he couldn't take the bus anymore because the heater was broke.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, and he was a big guy at the time. He was a well-known big
Yeah,
star at the time,
yeah.
but they put him out and tour on an old bus that
Yeah.
didn't run very well because
the road has taken a lot of them.
Yes.
It has taken a lot of them, and whether it's airplanes or automobiles or God knows what, it's a dangerous place to be
Yeah.
to that degree. I have all the respect in the world for like over the road truck drivers who are on the. I mean, some days I'm on the road all day, and it's just that you're like, my God, it's
and the
crazy
thing in the
out
music
there,
industry is they don't make a lot of money on the records.
No.
You make it on the tours.
Yeah, yes, and it's the kind of thing. Whatever works. There are some musicians that are going their shows are so attractive to people that like Jimmy Buffett, first.
Right.
It doesn't matter how old he gets. He's just going to keep filling arenas and keep filling arenas.
People with parrot hats on.
Yeah, so that's what they want from Jimmy Buffett. They don't
Yep.
want another Jimmy Buffett record. They want another Jimmy Buffett concert.
Right,
So
right.
that's how that's working.
Well, his concerts are a fun time.
They're a big old party.
Yeah, it's a big. Yeah,
Yeah.
you're right.
I wouldn't want to clean up after them, but it's a
But,
big old party.
Like I said, that's where these people are making their money is by doing their tours, but it's pretty grueling on you.
Yeah.
And you find that's why so many musicians don't, they don't live very long.
Right. And it is grueling, and it's hard to get 3 square meals a day,
Yeah.
and not hit the McDonald's drive-through when you're pressed for time, and all
Right.
and all of that stuff. And but I try to be real conscious of that. I've really cut back on the distance travel. It's
Yeah.
it's not necessary anymore,
Right.
and I can get enough things booked close enough to home that those when I first started, to drive 6-8 hours to do a 1-hour show was not uncommon, and I would for example, one day drove from my house to Lycoming, Pennsylvania,
Wow.
did a show at 2:00 in the afternoon, then did a show at 8 p.m., and then drove home because I had to do animal control the next morning. So it was,
Oh, my God.
so it was, but it was a short period of time,
Yeah.
and you got to do it. You got to
Yeah.
pay your dues, and
You know what? The
it.
Beach Boys are going to hit their 100th show this year. There's actually 2 bands that tour now, and Mike Love owns the name Beach Boys, and Brian Wilson now has a band that he tours. Brian Wilson, and they've been touring since 1961.
Yeah. There's, I mean,
Unbelievable.
I had just a friend of mine had just taken me to see Kansas in Blue Oyster Cult. And
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean,
these guys are elderly.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
you're
well,
watching them, and
these
they're
are the rock
yeah, they're
musicians
rockers.
of the 70s and 80s.
But it's all they know.
Right.
So they just keep going and
Yeah.
keep going, and you know, God bless them. The place was full,
Wow.
and they sounded good.
How about the Rolling Stones? Oh, my
You know, I think Keith Richards had said, I've already outlived the 3 doctors that told me to stop drinking.
Yeah,
So, you know, well,
Well, let's get another number in here. Well,
okay. What's your pleasure? How about a John Hyatt tune?
all right.
All right. Winter's coming, and last year was a good time, and I'm hearing this winter's going to be just as fun. So,
I'm hearing both ways. The Farmer's Almanac says it's going to be a tough winter, but then some meteorologists said El Nino is seemingly holding on, and it's probably going to be a mild winter.
yeah.
So
Well,
we'll have to.
I hope for B.
Yeah, yeah. We can only wait and see.
Yes, yes. And this song is it's about winter, and it's called "Howling Down the Cumberland." John Hyatt.
I'm caught like a deer in my own headlights, frozen on this road tonight. I had a fix on a brighter star. Now I'm not sure where you are. North is south and east is west. Where's the love that I knew best? Shifting in this icy wind, howling down the Cumberland. You left this valley that I love, cold and far, with stars above. I have to wait till spring is here, just to hold you warm and near. Dead of winter, dead of night, not much time to get this right. Shifting in this icy wind that's howling down the Cumberland. And I'm just a creature in the dark who's longing for one blessed spark to burn the sky and heat the night with love reborn by morning light. But nature doesn't heed a call. Nature just commands, that's all. Now my love's a biting wind that's howling down the Cumberland. And now my love, an icy wind that's howling down the Cumberland.
That reminds me. You've heard of Tom Rush, I'm sure.
Of course.
Yeah, from New Hampshire.
Yes.
He does a song written by Joni Mitchell called "The Urge for Going."
Mm-hmm.
You ever hear
That's
that?
a beautiful song.
Isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
And the lyrics really are great. I mean, what she
Yes.
she really describes the winter coming
it's
on.
a poetic masterpiece. It
Yes.
really is. Yeah. And it was never like on the Billboard Top 10
No.
or any of that, but beautiful
No.
song. Absolutely.
Yeah, I got his album with that in it, and
Yeah.
I just love that. So I play it on my radio show in the fall because
Yeah.
it's a great song to
Yeah,
play as
it is.
winter's coming on. It really describes winter in New England
Yeah.
coming on.
Yeah.
But that's what's great about the folk music. It can be so homey and you can relate to it so well.
Yes, and I've had some pretty good success at it as far
Yeah.
as, I did the rock and roll thing for a few years
Yeah.
in the 80s and, the weddings and all the what we call GB or general business. We
Yeah.
did all that stuff. And, but, no matter what it is I would branch out and do, I would always come back to this.
You always come back to your roots.
Yeah, I always come back to the roots and, and the wood and the strings and the fingers, and that's it,
Yeah. Yeah, and folk takes a little bit more than rock and roll because you got to do that picking.
Yeah, that style comes from, actually, I attempted to be a banjo player before
Ah.
I was a guitar player, and extremely difficult
Yeah.
instrument. I have such a respect for banjo players.
Well, you what? 4 strings on a banjo?
Five.
A five.
Yeah,
five.
if it's a bluegrass banjo, you've got 5. If it's like a ragtime banjo or what's called a tenor banjo, you've got 4. But I was trying to play the 5, the bluegrass type, and it was very, very difficult.
It's a lot harder to come up with the chords when you
Oh.
got one less string, right?
Yeah, it was hard. It was hard, and but I found that when I took those finger picking techniques
Yeah.
and applied them to this, and my older brother, who's also a musician, my brother Tim, he said, yeah, you play guitar like a banjo, and it's like, well, yeah, you know why? So, it's,
But it works.
yeah, it works. So
You don't use a pick at all.
no, never.
Because some guys use the picks that actually wrap around your finger.
Yeah, yep. I used those for years and years, and but as it went on, I found that just technique wise, I liked the bare skin against the
Yep.
fingers. You got a little less harshness in the tone,
Right.
and it was a little more mellowed out, and I enjoy that. So that's what I did.
I find the better pickers do that.
Well, I mean, James Taylor does it, and but now, when I was a kid, I so much 12 years old, I wanted to be John Denver so bad. If a genie had popped out of a bottle and said, "I'll give you 3 wishes," I would have said, "Skip 2 and 3, just
another
make me John Denver."
yeah, another
and
great,
he wore
countries.
them, and he wore finger picks. So, it's all just a personal preference and style.
He started out with the Chad Mitchell Trio.
Yes, he did. Yes, he
Yeah.
did.
Another great group.
Yeah. Yep.
And of course, they used to appear with Harry Belafonte, who's also sort of a folk musician.
Yes, and he developed his style, developed as it went on, and
Yeah.
he turned into the showman that he is.
Right.
And
But let's get another one in before because as many as we can
all
here.
right, we've got a couple minutes.
'Cause I'm enjoying this.
All right, I guess I'll do another song about winter.
All right, yeah, it's coming on. It's coming on quick.
Growing up, Gordon Lightfoot was a big influence.
Oh,
I
yeah.
saw him several times, and unbelievable musician, unbelievable writer. And this one was redone on Sarah McLachlan redid this one. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, so I guess it's new again. It's not
Yeah.
40 years old anymore. So, and it's called "Song for a Winter's Night." Gordon Lightfoot.
Lamp is burning low upon my tabletop. The snow is softly falling. The air is still in the silence of my room. I hear your voice softly calling. If I could only have you near to breathe a sigh or two, would be happy just to hold the hands I love on this winter night with you. is rising in the shadows overhead. My glass is almost empty. I read again between the lines upon each page those words of love you sent me. If I had known within my heart that you were lonely too, I would be happy just to hold the hands I love on this winter night with you. The fire's dying, now the lamp is growing dim. The shades of night are lifting. The morning light steals across my window pane, where webs of snow lie drifting. If I could only have you near to breathe a sigh or two, I would be happy just to hold the hands I love on this winter night with you. If I could only have you near to breathe a sigh or two, I would be happy just to hold the hands I love on this winter night with you, and to be once again with you.
Oh, you had a little touch of Gordon Lightfoot in there. You sound a little bit like him.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. We got to kind of wrap it up, but I want to tell everyone, if you get a hold of us, and we're easy to get a hold of, or you email us at info@nctv11.org, or you give us a call at 508-234-0200. Let us know, and we'll book you on, and you'll be able to perform too. Now, if you don't have a band, you don't have any music, no problem. We have a karaoke machine, and we have a whole pile of music. Or you can bring your own, and we'll put you on and let you perform. Let the people in Northbridge see you, and we'll give you a copy of it. And it'll also be on the internet, so you can have people, if you anywhere in the world, can tune in and watch you play. And I want to thank you, Dan, for coming in tonight
Well, it's a
and being
pleasure, Harry. Anytime, man.
and
Anytime.
initiating our show here.
Thanks for having me.
And it's great. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it.
Enjoyed
I
being
can't
here.
tell you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I don't get a chance to listen to enough. I do a music show on 50s and 60s music, but I throw in other things like yourself.
Yeah, well, thank you for throwing that in. I'm telling you, I was just sitting there and I was listening to the song before it, and then I was like, what am I listening to here? Hey, and thanks for doing that. That was
And
cool.
what I want to do is ask you to work our way out of here with the last song.
With one last one, sure. I'll come
right.
up with something. Sure.
And once again, ladies and gentlemen, Dan Chauvin.
Thank you. This is off the Small Town Life CD. And this is called Said and Done. I am a wanderer, and I
chance, I know, but I'd like to take it. If I could go, well, I wouldn't waste it, and you'd still be the one that I'd return to when all is said and done. Ain't been there, ain't done that, and I wonder how much time is left to do what? Well, I don't care. Well, I may be stopped cold in my tracks. Slim chance, I know, but I'd like to take it. If I could go, well, I wouldn't waste it, and you'd still be the one that I'd return to when all is said and done. And I love you like always, and I will love you till the end. But I'm not myself these days, but I know that you would understand. Slim chance, I know, but I'd like to take it. If I could go, well, I wouldn't waste it, and you'd still be the one that I'd return to when all is said. I'd return to when all is said. I'd return to when all is said and done. Said and done. Said and done.